Hey everyone, welcome back. So today's video will be a bit different than usual because instead of raw CBD bud, I have a handful of different CBD oils. All of these came from tweedlefarms.com, but they're all different styles of oil. So in this video, I'll be explaining what makes them different and why someone might want to take one of them versus the others depending on their goals. First, let's start off with the pure CBD oils. Like the name suggests, these products contain just CBD without any other cannabinoids. So there's no THC, no CBG, no CBN, none of that other stuff. And one of the main advantages of pure CBD is that it's more predictable. If you take 50 milligrams worth of pure CBD oil, from one product to another, you should get the same effects. When there are other cannabinoids involved, you're usually dealing with different ratios, so even if you're getting the same amount of CBD, the effects can vary between products and possibly even between batches, depending on how they're made. But it's also worth mentioning that I have two different versions of pure CBD oil here, both from Tweedle Farms. And the difference between them is just the carrier oil that the CBD is mixed with. When companies say pure CBD oil, they don't mean that the product itself is pure CBD, they just mean that it doesn't have any other cannabinoids. You can buy pure CBD, it's called CBD isolate, but it's a white powder and it's really hard to measure into doses unless you dilute it first. And aside from just being easier to measure doses, your body actually processes CBD more efficiently when it's mixed with a carrier oil like these two. So this one is made with MCT oil, and a lot of people swear by MCT as being one of the most efficient carriers. MCT stands for medium chain triglyceride, which is a fancy way of saying that it's a specific type of fat that's usually extracted from palm or coconuts that's supposed to be really easy for your body to digest. Another reason people like it is that it's essentially flavorless and has a really light texture. For those reasons, MCT is one of the most common carrier oils that you'll find in CBD products. But then there are people who swear by hemp seed oil. This is made from oil that was extracted from hemp seeds. It usually has a bit of a nutty flavor. I actually like the way it tastes. Some people aren't as into it. And part of the rationale behind using hemp seed oil is that it all comes from the same plant. So similar to the entourage effect, people claim that taking these substances together improves the way your body processes them. Hemp seed oil is also high in omega-3 and 6 fatty acids, which a lot of people take on their own for the health benefits. So why not have a bit of those every time you take your CBD? I've tried both of these on multiple occasions now, and they both work about the same for me. So I can't personally say that either of them is more potent than the other. My preference would probably be the hemp seed, but mostly just because I like the way it tastes. Both of these have added terpenes as well. So if you look at the ingredients, it says steam distilled botanical terpenes. I can't find any reference to the terpene ratio or anything. The MCT one has a bit more of a slight fruitiness. It's pretty subtle, but you can definitely detect it, and my bet is that there's some myrcene in there to increase the effects of the CBD. The hemp seed one probably has the same terpenes, but the nuttiness of the hemp seed is really the dominant smell and flavor. As far as the effects go, like I said, these both feel about the same to me. It's really focused and clear-minded. For me, these are perfect for daytime use to just kind of tone down any anxiety or distractions, which is why I normally take CBD during the day. If you have any muscle tension or soreness, they work great for that too. And yeah, there's no other cannabinoids like THC, so unless you have a strong reaction to CBD, they're not going to make you feel weird or put you to sleep or anything. They're just a consistent dose of CBD, and for me, they work great during the day. Next, we have the full spectrum CBD oil. So this stuff has all of the major naturally occurring cannabinoids in it. CBD is the most prominent one, but there's also a decent amount of CBG, CBN, and CBC, in addition to tiny amounts of THC. There's not enough total THC for it to be illegal in the US. It's well below the 0.3% limit, so you don't have to worry about that. but the idea is that it still has enough to help contribute to that entourage effect. So if you've ever taken something with CBD isolate or pure CBD oil like the previous two, and they just didn't have the effect you want, I would recommend trying some full spectrum like this. I think a lot of people try CBD using something like gummies, which are usually made from CBD isolate, and it doesn't have a strong enough effect, so they just give up on CBD altogether. But if you experiment a bit, you find that the effect is completely different with different combinations of cannabinoids and terpenes. I regularly take CBD in its bud form using a dry herb vaporizer, and full spectrum products like this give you an effect that's closer to the natural bud compared to CBD isolate. But I'm also not concerned about taking small amounts of THC. I'm not particularly sensitive to it, and I don't have to worry about failing a drug test or anything, so I usually prefer full spectrum products or actual bud, especially if I really want to relax in the evening. But everyone's body processes things differently, and everyone has different reasons for taking hemp products, so it really just depends on the individual. I will say that the presence of CBN and THC in full spectrum products can sometimes lean toward being a bit more relaxing and even sedating. A normal dose of this stuff just chills me out a bit and feels like what I would describe as being peaceful and quiet, but a large dose usually makes me sink into a couch and want to watch a movie or something. It doesn't make me spaced out or distracted the way that a strong dose of THC does, but there is a bit of that comfy body sensation, which I don't get from pure CBD. So that's why I usually take this stuff at the end of the day when I'm ready to really relax. As far as the taste goes, this one also has added steam distilled botanical terpenes. It doesn't taste sweet or anything, there's just a fruity floral vibe. Definitely a lot of terpenes in there. And by the way, if you do want some of the other cannabinoids like CBG and CBN without the THC, there's another class of CBD products called broad spectrum. And it's basically like full spectrum without any of the THC in it. So if pure CBD doesn't do it for you, but you still want to avoid any trace amounts of THC, you should check out broad spectrum products. I don't have any right now for this video as a comparison, but Tweedle Farms does also sell broad spectrum oil, and my bet is that it's exactly like their full spectrum, just without the THC. And then we have this rainbow complete spectrum CBD oil. And this one's really interesting to me because in addition to all of the major cannabinoids that you get in full spectrum, this complete spectrum takes it a bit further by adding CBDA and CBGA, as well as CBDV, which are pretty hard to find in oils like this. Normally, all of the CBDA and CBGA get converted to CBD and CBG in a process called decarboxylation. If you've ever made your own edibles, you should be familiar with that process. But there are a handful of studies that show noticeable effects from these cannabinoids in their natural form. For instance, in at least one study, CBDA was shown to reduce anxiety, and in another study, it was shown to help treat inflammation. In combination with other cannabinoids, these should also help to create an even more rounded entourage effect. I've actually never had a complete spectrum oil like this before, so let's give it a try. I'll start with the recommended 1 milliliter dose, and right away the terpene profile is similar to the full spectrum version, so it has that light fruity aroma. There's also a hint of some clove-like spice in this one. Again, a lot of terpenes. After about 20 minutes, I can already start to feel a little bit more relaxed. No drowsiness or anything, just less muscle tension. That feeling of calmness peaked at about an hour and lasted for 2 or 3 hours from that point. It's hard to evaluate after just one dose how much it differs from the full spectrum oil. There's a similar reduction in muscle tension and anxiety, but I also felt more focused and productive. I couldn't detect any drowsiness or sedation, and I wonder if that's because there's a lower ratio of CBN, which is one of the cannabinoids known to cause that couch lock feeling. It could also be that the other cannabinoids kind of balance it out a bit. As someone who mostly takes CBD for anxiety and relaxation, I'd be interested to know how these different blends affect people who take it for different reasons. Especially this complete spectrum one, because I've really never seen a product like this, and I'm curious how other people compare it to different cannabinoid blends. So if you've ever tried any of these, or if you have any questions, be sure to leave those in the comments below. I'm planning to try a larger dose of this complete spectrum soon, so I'll leave the results of that in the comments section when I do. Well, that's it for this video. Stay chill, and I will see you next time.